Everybody, please take your seats very quickly. I am incredibly honored and excited to announce the entrance of His Excellency, Mr. Antonio Gutierrez, the United Nations Secretary General, accompanied by his envoy on youth, Ms. Jayathma Vikranayake. Now, the Secretary is going to take a moment just to commemorate this incredible event by taking a picture with some of the most inspiring young people that are here, that are representing young people all over the world, that are doing incredible things on behalf of immigrant youth and the SDGs and all youth around the world.
We'll take a moment as well, and the Secretary General will take another picture to celebrate the launch of Generation Unlimited.
Yeah, we did. Thank you all so much. If I may invite everyone to please take your seats. We're going to get started now. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce to you the Secretary General's envoy on youth, Ms. Jayathma Vikranayake, who is waving at me over there. Many of you might be familiar with Jay, and if you're not, you absolutely need to be. Jayathma is tasked with bringing young people closer to the United Nations and the United Nations closer to young people. She is the youngest member of the Secretary General's senior management team. She is an incredible human being that I've come to know over the past few months, and I'm honored to partner with on working with and for young people. Jayathma, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow young people. It gives me great pleasure to be here today to kick off the launch event of the UN Youth Strategy, the Youth 2030, and the Generation Unlimited Partnership. Producing a youth strategy and a launch event that can speak to member states, the UN system in all its bureaucracy, member states, and especially young people, has not been an easy task. I want to thank the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, and all young people in this room and beyond who placed their trust in me and my small but strong office to lead on this process. One announcement to make before we start. The Secretary General unfortunately has to leave in 20 minutes' time. Therefore, I ask all speakers to adhere to their time, which is 4 minutes. Usually, in most of the events at the United Nations, we have the high-level officials speak first. Young people, if at all, get an opportunity to speak at last. But from today on, we are doing things differently. We will listen to our young people first. That deserves an applause. Many young people in this room are change makers, leaders, activists. They have broken barriers and shaken systems to bring peace, fight climate change, change policies, change politics, and have put their communities in a path to achieve sustainable development. They do this with little or no resources and with no access to decision-making tables. That is why today we focus our lenses on them. One such leader is Ms. Batul Alwadani. Batul was selected as the youth speaker for this segment through a process of nominations with youth networks and organizations. Batul represents the International Federation of Medical Students Association and comes from Jordan. Batul, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask you a few questions. Is it possible to change the world, to end wars, to eradicate poverty, to cure all diseases, and to populate new planets? Call me unrealistic, too optimistic, or a dreamer, but I actually think it's not only possible, it is achievable and practical. Why do I think that? A very simple answer. Because I'm a young person. Before I go to sleep, I close my eyes and dream about my future. I wake up, learn, plan, and think outside the box to solve the issues around me. I sit with my colleagues and my friends and discuss how unfair and unjustified some of the policies are and what we can do about them. We volunteer in youth organizations. We create a fuss around us, and we claim our engagement platforms. We have hopes, dreams, determination, and energy. And let me tell you a little secret. That's more than enough to solve the biggest problems out there. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Batul. I'm the president-elect of the International Federation of Medical Students Associations, a member in ICMEO, which, as many youth organizations present here, has members who think that they can change the world. And I'm here today not only to speak on behalf of youth organizations, but most importantly, on behalf of youth who are not able to be here and have their voices heard. Being a young person, I see that I have a moral responsibility towards my community, my society, my country, and my planet. But most importantly, my generation, the generation of young people. I see that we can do and change a lot. And I see that we have a chance to change our own presence here. But most importantly, I see that I'm a privileged person, just as many others who are present here. Maybe because we were so quick to RSVP for the event, but as well because we have the chance to participate and to engage. And most importantly, without a doubt, our biggest privilege is to speak on behalf of youth who are marginalized, uneducated, unemployed, forced to be sex workers, living in hunger and poverty, who, regardless of their situation, are still the biggest hope for their communities and their most valuable assets. Your Excellency, the UN Secretary General, the highly esteemed attendees, I do not want to start by calling to action from you towards young people. I want to call to action from the people who have the biggest impact on young people themselves. And I want to say that we have all the energy and the ability to solve our problems, to use technologies to innovate, to create more spaces for employment, and to close the gaps of education, to speak up against human rights violations, to create revolutions. And most importantly, we know that we have the right to lead, not only today and not only tomorrow, but in every single moment, because we will be the people living with the decisions and the consequences that are made today, and therefore we have every right to start leading from this moment. The UN Youth Strategy represents a hope, a guarantee, and a smart venture on youth all around the world. It represents a commitment from the UN towards youth in all settings to enable them and support them. And therefore, I would like to use this platform to call on the UN Secretary General to use this chance, to use this strategy as an accountability measure to start with the UN and its entities to ensure that young people's agendas are being advanced, and to hold member states accountable in order to serve their own young populations and protect their rights, and civil society and youth organizations in order to make sure that they represent youth and their needs fully in the best way. And I want to end up with the same questions that I started with. Is it possible to change the world, to eradicate poverty, to stop wars, to populate new planets, and to cure all diseases with all the confidence in the world as an individual here who represents 1 out of 1.8 billion young people in the world? I can tell you that we can definitely do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Batu, for your very inspiring remarks. So next in line is my boss, the Secretary General. In our first meeting, the Secretary General only asked me to do one thing. He said, misbehave. Secretary General, I hope I have lived up to your expectations. The Secretary General a few months ago asked me to work together with the entire UN system, all its agencies, funds, and programs to help him reset and reorient the UN's work with and for young people. Youth 2030, the United Nations Youth Strategy, is the first result of that process. Now, it gives me great pleasure to invite the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, to share that result with you.
Dear young representatives, advocates, and activists, distinguished participants, all protocol observed, I will start by apologizing because I'm going to be extremely unpolite. The worst thing one can do, and I'm terribly sorry for it, is to come to an audience to talk and after listening to President Paul Kagame to leave. But unfortunately, those that organized my life have made me participate in 44 events and receive 128 persons, distinguished representatives of member states. So I have no alternative. It's extremely unpolite. The only thing I promise is that I will take good note, because my colleagues are here, and I will make sure that everything that is said here will be reflected in the movement forward in relation both to our strategy and to Generation Unlimited. Now, it is a rare treat to see so many young people at the United Nations. Unfortunately, far too rare. Our world today is very young, home to 1.8 billion young people between the ages of 10 and 24, the largest young generation in history. And today's young people face enormous challenges due to globalization, new technologies, displacement, shrinking civil space, changing labor markets, the impacts of climate change. More than 1/5 of young people are not in employment, education, or training. And at least 1 in 4 is affected by violence or armed conflict in some way. Millions of girls become mothers when they are still children, affecting their health and entrenching a cycle of poverty. And too often, young people are excluded by development programs, ignored in peace negotiations, and denied a voice and a seat at the table. At the same time, young people are a vast source of innovation, ideas, and solutions. And they are pushing strongly for the changes we need in the technology arena, in climate action, and in calling for inclusive and just societies. Empowering young people, supporting them, and making sure they can fulfill their potential are important ends in themselves. And we want these for all people everywhere. But more than these, if we are to create a more peaceful, sustainable, and prosperous world for all, to fulfill the vision of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we need young people to lead. That is why today I'm delighted to take launch of Youth 2030, the UN's strategy to engage with, but especially to empower young people. For many decades, the UN has sought to work for young people. But with Youth 2030, I want the UN to become a leader in working with young people, in understanding their needs, in helping to put their ideas into action, in ensuring their views inform our processes. And as we change, we will work our partners to do likewise. This strategy identifies 5 key areas. First, we will open new routes to engage and involve young people and amplify their voices. Second, we will strengthen our focus on their access to education and health services. Third, we will place their economic empowerment to the fore of our development strategies through a focus on training and jobs. Fourth, we will work harder to ensure young people's rights are upheld and to promote their civic and political engagement. And fifth, we will prioritize support for young people in conflict and in humanitarian crises, including their participation in peace processes. Delivering on this strategy will require bold new approaches, and my youth envoy, that is supposed to be a rebel, my youth envoy will play a key role in formulating and supporting them. This strategy will also spur new partnerships, and I'm pleased to launch one here today. Generation Unlimited is a multi-stakeholder initiative that aims to ensure all young people are in school, training, or employment by 2030. It will focus on skills for learning, employment and empowerment, especially for girls. Young people will be central to every aspect of this initiative. And I thank Ms. Henrietta Fore for UNICEF's role in creating Generation Unlimited. And although I am no longer young, I'm honored to serve as co-chair, together His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of Rwanda. I think we need to learn again how to become young, but in your case it will be easier than for me. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear young people, today is the start of a new era for young people at United Nations, and everyone here can help us as we move forward. Member states investing in and empowering young people in your countries. Companies working with us to provide skills and opportunities to young people. Civil society being bold, speaking out, and keeping up the pressure. And to all young men and women, I say, join us, sign up, volunteer, vote, be part of the solution. We need you as partners and leaders. We need you as we build a peaceful and more sustainable world. Thank you.
Thank you, SG, for your powerful and inspiring words and for launching Youth 2030, the UN Youth Strategy, and the Generation Unlimited Partnership. I think I speak for the entire UN system when I say that we stand behind you in its implementation. So allow me to please move on, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to our next speaker. It's an immense honor to introduce you, Excellency Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda and the Chair of the African Union. As President, Your Excellency, you preside over one of the youngest populations in the world, with an average age of 19. It is critical for us at the United Nations to count on you as a partner in delivering the vision that underpins the UN Youth Strategy, achieving through initiatives like Generation Unlimited. It is my honor, Excellency, to give you the floor.
To the young people, Excellency Secretary General, United Nations Envoy for Youth, my fellow co-chairs, Batur, Rawdani, Henrietta Fore, and Dr. Jim Kim, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here with you, Secretary General and this eminent group, to launch the United Nations Youth Strategy. I also thank the UNICEF Executive Director for the invitation to serve on the Generation Unlimited Leaders Group. I'm honored to join you in this important effort. I have 3 points to share. First, I fully associate myself with the call to action made by Batur, our youth leader. There is no great young life go unfulfilled for lack of opportunity. Second, the youth strategy presented by the Secretary General and the Envoy for Youth marks a turning point, and it comes at the right time. The United Nations cannot be relevant to all people without an answer to the aspirations of the world's youth. After all, in developing countries, most of the population consists of young people. Third, equipping the next generation with the capabilities and mindsets needed for success is among the most urgent policy priorities in countries such as my own Rwanda. The new framework is practical and has the right emphasis on job, skills, gender equality, and access of information, technology, and mentorship opportunities. The ideas of young people around the world will be continuously integrated along the way. We also need a strong public-private partnerships to get things done. Rwanda is fully committed to this task with you, and there is also full alignment with the African Union's Agenda 2063. Let me close my remarks with the congratulations to the entire team. I look forward to the next steps, and I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, President Kagame, for your words and for your commitment to advance the lives of young people in your country and beyond. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned in the beginning, unfortunately, the Secretary General has to move on to his next event. Thank you very much, Secretary General, for joining us this morning. I also want to thank Ms. Viotti, Chef de Cabinet of the Secretary General, for doing us the honor of joining us this morning. This needs to change. So the Secretary General launched Youth 2030 today, but the biggest step that awaits us is its implementation. The good news is that there are today already an impressive number of UN-led multi-stakeholder initiatives on youth that are very ably led by different agencies. They will be contributing to the advancement of the implementation of the UN Youth Strategy, Youth 2030. The Global Initiative for Decent Jobs for Youth, Global Compact for Young People in Humanitarian Action, Youth Peace and Security Agenda are some of the many outstanding initiatives that we celebrate today. As a first new action to join this list, UNICEF has been leading on the development of the Generation Unlimited partnership that you have already heard so much about. And who better than to tell us what Generation Unlimited is about than the UNICEF Executive Director, Ms. Henrietta Fore herself. Ms. Fore, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Jayathma, and to President Kagame, President Kim, and of course, Secretary General. We are very thankful to see all of you today. But we're particularly pleased, Jayathma, that we are bringing to the halls of the United Nations something that is sorely needed. It's the voices of young people. In my travels, I have the great honor and delight to hear and meet with young people all over the world. And I hear about their ideas, their enthusiasm, their vision for the future, but I also hear about their worries. And they find that they are not getting the educational skills that they need. They worry that they won't find a job. They're worried about violence at home, online, in their schools, in their communities. And girls are worried about discrimination and violence that they face just because they're girls. So we must hear all of the voices of these young people, all 1.8 billion of them, which is why UNICEF and our many United Nations public and private partners are launching Generation Unlimited. We are now calling it Gen U, and they're saying that it's our time, our turn, and our unlimited future. So we're calling for cutting-edge solutions and new ideas to get every person in school, learning, training, or age-appropriate employment by the year 2030. We're asking governments and businesses, foundations, academia, nonprofits, communities, and innovators to help us. And we're co-creating these solutions with young people in the lead, supporting them as together we scale up and design solutions that address these needs. Today, we're announcing the first round of solutions that can be scaled up, from a program in Argentina that connects remote rural students with teachers via digital technology, to a program in Bangladesh that's training tens of thousands of young people in trades like tailoring and motorcycle repair and mobile phone servicing, to a job shadowing program in South Africa connecting young women and mentors in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. And the next step is to gather public and private partners around these and other promising solutions, to develop concrete plans to grow the funding base that's necessary to reach more young people in more communities in more countries around the world. But we need ideas. We need ideas that are big and small, ideas that are local, and ideas that are global. The possibilities are endless. The need is urgent. A massive generation is about to inherit our world. Please help us leave a legacy of hope and opportunities for them, and most importantly, with them. So I thank you, and I'd now like to ask my friend Jim Kim, President of the World Bank, a true champion of children and young people, to say a few words. Jim.
Thank you so much, Henrietta. And I just want to say that your leadership on world's youth issues has been a tremendous personal and professional inspiration to me. And it's also a great honor to be here with the chair of this whole group. You know, what it says is Envoy on Youth, but you're the boss on this one. And also my great friend, President Kagame. I've seen what he's been doing in Rwanda for many years now. Now, let me just get some of the critical numbers out of the way, and then I want to send a very personal message. You know, we have been focused a lot on youth. We've spent $15 billion in 770 projects over the last 10 years. And we're working ever more closely. The relationship with UNICEF has never been better. And we're working with UNICEF to deliver on critically important issues. In Lebanon, for example, we're working to ensure that Syrian refugees enroll in school and ensure that they have skills training so that they'll be able to find a job. In Yemen, a terribly difficult situation, we're partnering to provide emergency cash transfers that are helping 1.4 million poor families provide basic needs for their children and young people. But let me tell you what I'm extremely worried about, and I'm extremely worried about the world that my two sons are going to inherit. First, because of the rapid rise of broadband, and everyone in the world, all 8 billion people will have access to broadband by 2025, aspirations all over the world are going up. When I was born in 1959 in Korea, and we have wonderful representatives here, the First Lady of Korea, the World Bank would not give Korea a loan because they thought it was hopeless. And then when Korea took its second loan for education, they were ridiculed because the World Bank couldn't believe they would waste money on investing in education when they should have spent it on other things. When aspirations going up, when those aspirations are met with opportunity, you get dynamic economic growth. And in Korea, there were people like me who had the opportunity to become president of the World Bank. And then you have one of the best groups, the boy band BTS right here, who chose to be artists and were able to do so because Korea invested in health, education, and all the things that are needed. Second thing I want to say is the nature of work is changing. The nature of work is changing very quickly, and many, many countries are not prepared for the future of work. Everything tells us that every single job will be more digitally demanding, and every single job will require skills like perseverance, determination, things that are not taught well enough in the schools today. And finally, we're in the middle of a demographic change of just extraordinary proportion. 1.8 billion people are between the ages of 15 and 30. 500 million people are in developing countries, are underemployed or hold insecure jobs. 300 million don't have employment or education at all. So my reflection is that in the 1960s and 70s, young people in the United States used to say, don't trust anyone over 30. What I would say to you today, young people, don't trust anyone under 30 to make the most important decisions that are going to affect your future. Don't let us decide how much we spend on health and education. Insist that we spend on health and education in a way so that everyone has the opportunity to become whatever they want. Don't trust us on decisions around climate change. We're entering a critical 2-year period, and if we don't make the right decisions, the world that you will inherit will be unlike anything you can imagine. So please take this, this movement that was just brilliantly started by UNICEF and Henrietta Fore, Generation U or Gen U, and force us to make the right decision so that you can live in the world that you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Henrietta, and President Jim Kim for your commitment. I'm really excited for Generation Unlimited and also for the World Bank's renewed commitment to young people, empowerment of young people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to now turn to a member state that has been leading the pack as it comes to advancing the global youth agenda. A country that, as far as I know, is the only country in the world that has youth development and empowerment as one of its core priorities in its international development and humanitarian assistance framework, a country that's been a great supporter to the UN's youth work. It's my sincere pleasure to invite His Excellency Lars Løkke Rasmussen, Prime Minister of Denmark, accompanied by Ms. Natasha Skalgard, Youth Delegate of Denmark, to the lectern.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. About a year ago, I met with two young girls from Bangladesh in my office in Denmark, Maisha and Fayana. They told me about their life, of how millions of young girls in their country lack opportunities and lack of voice of their own. Honestly, it made me sad, but then again, our conversation was at the same time full of hope. The two brave girls also told me how they actively fight injustice, child marriage and violence. Maisha and Fayana had decided to make a difference. They make a difference and they never quit. Meeting them made it clear to me that their fight is our fight as well. To me, the Sustainable Development Goals are not only lofty aspirations, but a kind of contract between generations, a commitment across age, gender, and continents for a better world. If we want real change for the better, we need to ensure development not just for young people, but with and by young people. And for this reason, I am glad the UN Secretary General has put youth on top of the UN agenda. Congratulations on the launch of the new UN strategy on youth. Denmark will fund part of the new strategy with an amount of $500 million US. Denmark is strongly committed to promote youth in development, and our own strategy puts youth at the center of action. For instance, the Danish Youth Council advises my government on development cooperation. We have committed new financial support to youth participation in the peace process in Mali and to support the sexual and reproductive health and rights of girls. And we have 6 youth delegates participating in Danish high-level delegations. 2 of them are here today. We do this not only out of good intentions, but because it simply works. Half of the Danish populations, half of the Danes, has been engaged in a youth organization. This has reinforced the commitment to democracy and the willingness to engage in local communities. I myself started my political journey as a young boy as well. First as a Boy Scout, where I learned the value of individual responsibility for our community. At the age of 16, I wanted to engage in politics, to make a difference in my local community. And I remember very well that my first political meeting almost became my last one, because it was, honestly speaking, really, really boring. And no one seemed to pay any attention or to listen to my fantastic ideas. But as I was about to quit, I got a call, and I still remember it. I was told never to quit, and I was encouraged to start my own branch of this political movement and to set my own agenda relevant for my fellow youth and me, and I did. And I remember in the UN Youth Year in '85, someone persuaded me to run as a candidate, because this pressure from the world community actually had a real impact in Denmark, and all the political parties, they were looking around for youngsters. So I was elected candidate, and I was elected, and here I am today. So young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, they are partners of today, they are leaders of today. And therefore, I would like to use this opportunity to encourage my fellow political leaders, listen to the youth, invite them for coffee, take on their advice, and we might as well start out right now. So allow me to hand over the rest of my speaking time to the Danish Youth Delegate, Natasha Skalgard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. To engage young people meaningfully, it's not only the right thing to do, it also reinforces the legitimacy and effectiveness of policies and a UN youth strategy. Through the Danish Youth Council, youth organizations engaged in international youth-led partnerships that strengthen young people's participation and influence. In Rwanda, for example, young volunteers from the Baptist Church work to improve the rights of marginalized young single mothers by supporting their children's birth registration and by including them in the church and in society. Right now, inclusion of youth is still a privilege rather than a respected right. Young people in this room represent only a fraction of youth, but we aim to change more than a fraction of this world. We all have a responsibility and an obligation to reach out to young people. Young people are diverse, and we must ensure that their voices are taken into account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister and Natasha, for your joint statement. By sharing your time, you have sent a very strong message of intergenerational solidarity across this room and beyond. With this, Denmark becomes the first member state to announce a contribution in support of the UN Youth Strategy, and I'm thankful for that, and I hope that there will be more countries following that footsteps. As we go to the ending of the opening panel, I wish to now call to the lectern a very widely popular pop band from South Korea, the BTS. They have literally millions of followers around the world, and my younger sister tried to stop me from coming today because she wanted to come here instead of me to see BTS speak. I'm grateful to the UNICEF Executive Director, Ms. Fo, for making it possible for BTS, who are recognized as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassadors for the Generation Unlimited partnership, to be with us here today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, UNICEF Executive Director, and all the excellencies and distinguished guests from across the world. My name is Kim Namjoon, also known as RM, the leader of the group BTS. It is an incredible honor to be invited to an occasion with such significance for today's young generation. Last November, BTS launched the Love Myself campaign with UNICEF, building on our belief that true love first begins with loving myself. We've been partnering with UNICEF's End Violence program to protect children and young people all over the world from violence. And our fans have become a major part of this campaign with their action and with their enthusiasm. We truly have the best fans in the world. And I'd like to begin by talking about myself. I was born in Ilsan, a city near Seoul, South Korea. It is a really beautiful place with a lake, hills, and even an annual flower festival. I spent a very happy childhood there, and I was just an ordinary boy. I used to look up at the night sky and wonder, and I used to dream the dreams of a boy. I used to imagine that I was a superhero who could save the world. And in an intro to one of our early albums, there's a line that says, "My heart stopped when I was maybe 9 or 10. Looking back, I think that's when I began to worry about what other people thought of me and starting seeing myself through their eyes. I stopped looking up at the night skies, the stars. I stopped daydreaming. Instead, I just tried to jam myself into the malls that other people made. Soon, I began to shut out my own voice and started to listen to the voices of others. No one called out my name, and neither did I. My heart stopped and my eyes closed shut. So, like this, we all lost our names. We became like ghosts. But I had one sanctuary, and that was music. There was a small voice inside of me that said, "Wake up, man, and listen to yourself." But it took me quite a long time to hear music calling my real name. Even after making the decision to join BTS, there were a lot of hurdles. Some people might not believe, but most people thought we were hopeless. And sometimes I just wanted to quit. But I think I was very lucky that I didn't give it all up. And I'm sure that I and we will keep stumbling and falling like this. BTS has become artists performing in those huge stadiums and selling millions of albums right now, but I am still an ordinary 24-year-old guy. If there's anything that I've achieved, it was only possible that I have my other BTS members right by my side, and because of the love and the support that our ARMY fans all over the world made for us. And maybe I made a mistake yesterday, but yesterday's me is still me. Today, I am who I am with all of my faults and my mistakes. Tomorrow, I might be a tiny bit wiser, and that would be me too. These faults and mistakes are what I am, making up the brightest stars in the constellation of my life. I have come to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I hope to become. I like to say the one last thing. After releasing our Love Yourself albums and launching the Love Myself campaign, we started to hear remarkable stories from our fans all over the world, how our message helped them overcome their hardships in life and start loving themselves. Those stories constantly remind us of our responsibility. So let's take all one more step. We have learned to love ourselves. So now I urge you to speak yourself. I like to ask all of you, what is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your conviction. No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself. I'm Kim Namjoon and also RM of BTS. I'm an idol and I'm an artist from a small town in Korea. Like most people, I've made many and plenty mistakes in my life. I have many faults and I have many more fears, but I'm gonna embrace myself as hard as I can. And I'm starting to love myself gradually, just little by little. What is your name? Speak yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With so many young fans around the world, it was a pleasure having BTS with us, and I'm thankful that you use your platform and creativity to reach young audiences with positive messages about what it means to be a young person in the world today. So we have heard from the Secretary General and our speakers about the Generation Unlimited partnership. We have heard the Secretary General speak about the fact that the entire UN system owns, drives, and stands behind the UN's youth strategy. I think we can all agree that the UN has come a long way, and the ambition championed in the youth strategy is built on the hard work, lessons learned, failures, and successes of stories of many of us in here, in the room, and those those that came before us. In this regard, I wish to take this opportunity to misbehave and to particularly recognize the presence of my predecessor, Ahmed Al-Hindawi, the very first UN envoy on youth. Ahmed, as the envoy on youth during his term, has done an incredible job to open the doors for more youth engagement and to get youth issues higher in the global agenda. Thank you so much for joining us here today. As was said, the strategy unites the United Nations in that sense to deliver with and for young people. To offer a brief snapshot of what some of that commitment looks like across the UN system and how some of our key agencies involved will be advancing the youth agenda, we will now see a brief video. But please note that regretfully, only a few key agencies could be covered given the limited time we have at this event, so please don't be upset. But be assured to also follow us online and on social media. Use hashtag Youth2030, hashtag Generation Unlimited, where we have a much broader range of video clips of UN agencies presenting their commitments on the youth strategy, Youth 2030. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our opening segment of the event. And with this, I once more wish to thank all the speakers and turn it back to our fabulous MCs, Tolu and Sherna, who themselves are amazing youth leaders and activists.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to our incredible panel.
Today's young people, 1.8 billion strong, are ready to change the world. The United Nations Population Fund stands behind Youth 2030.
The United Nations Human Rights Office stands behind the United Nations Youth Strategy 2030.
Department of Economic and Social Affairs is proud to stand behind Youth 2030.
The International Labour Organization stands behind Youth 2030 because 63 million young people are unemployed.
The UN Peacebuilding Support Office stands behind Youth 2030. This is because young women and men are key actors and leaders in peacebuilding and sustaining peace.
UNDP, the United Nations Development Programme, stands behind Youth 2030 because 85% of the world's young people live in developing countries.
Standing up for young people's rights to equality, participation, and to protection.
Let's make sure young people have the information and services they want and need.
Working with and for the young people.
Working with and for 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 young people.
Let's give it up one more time for that incredible panel. Ladies and gentlemen, especially young people in this room, I want us to show that this United Nations building can get loud as well. Let's put our hands together again for what an incredible panel we just had. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're only getting started, so please, if you will, find your seats. We will continue with the program. Do you know what just happened?
We just witnessed history at the United Nations.
I think we may
The
have.
launch of Youth 2030 and Generation Unlimited.
Amazing, amazing. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Anybody excited?
We're
Come
part
on,
of
young
history.
people up here. Can I get a woohoo?
All right, to activate the two hashtags, Youth 2030 and Gen Unlimited, we want to invite somebody who needs no introduction to young people. She's an embodiment herself of Generation Unlimited. She's a digital pioneer, a YouTube superstar, UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador, etc., etc. Lily Singh, please join us.
Lily!
Come on.
Thank you. Oh, geez, I feel so special. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. First off, let me say I realize there's a double mic situation. Hello? We're going to use this one. No, I can use this one. I'm cool. We're off to a great start. First, let me say what an honor it is to speak here. I truly don't know who I convinced I'm important enough to do this, but too late, I'm here, and I'm not leaving. But we have a lot of really exciting things happening. Shout outs to BTS, who millions of girls at home right now are crying. So a lot of really exciting things, but I want to break it down real quick. I know there's a lot of very important and fancy people here. I mean, look at this room. It is very intimidating. People are wearing blazers. I got my hair and makeup done. This is a serious thing. But I want to say that this event is for young people. And I don't want us to forget that, because this is the first time in so long the UN has put youth at the forefront, and that is something to celebrate. That means this event is for us. It is for the youth leaders in the room and for all of you watching at home. Because young people make up 25% of the world's population, but we make up 100% of the future. And so empowering us with the tools we need to reach our fullest potential will never be a waste. Now, I want to do something real quick. If you're a young person, put your hand up. Put your hand up high and proud. If you're okay. Some of y'all are confused. That's okay. God bless. If you're a young person, put your hand up. Okay, now, the whole point of this is to let young people be heard. We have such a great voice, and I want everyone here to hear it, and everyone at home to hear it. So young people, keep your hands up. It's okay. If you, good. On the count of 3, I want you all, and don't be shy, don't be intimidated. I want you all to cheer if you're here to make a change on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna lie, that was okay. I'm gonna try one more time. This time, even if you don't consider yourself a young person, but you're here to make change for young people, on the count of 3, let me hear you. 1, 2, 3. That was a lot better. Great job. People at home, please join the conversation as well by using the hashtags Youth2030 and Gen Unlimited to join the conversation. I'm going to let some more professional people talk now because I've caused enough ruckus, but I will be back to talk about more. As for right now, I'm so excited to hear everyone else speak and to see the change we're going to make in the world. Thank you so much.
She's a superwoman on YouTube, a superstar. For those of you who may not know, an incredible lady. Thank you so much for being here. And we're delighted now to welcome our next distinguished panel that's going to focus on investing in and partnering with young people. It's a panel of incredibly eminent people, and it's going to be led by none other than Her Excellency, the President of the 73rd Session of the General Assembly, Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garces. Let's put our hands together, please, as we welcome her to the podium.
Now, if we'll have the other speakers come to the podium, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana.
And His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. You're welcome, sir.
Ms. Federica Mogherini, High Representative of the European Union.
We're also delighted to welcome to the panel, representing the private sector, the President of Microsoft, Mr. Brad Smith.
We're excited to have Mr. Sultan Al-Musallam, Global Partnerships Manager from the MISC Foundation.
And last, but by no means the least, Ms. Jolie Amatzia from the Major Group on Children and Youth.
Thank you, everyone. Incredible
yes, young
panel,
people,
please.
Your Excellency, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very, very much. I have to tell you, and I have to confess that I feel a little intimidated when we're asked if you're young. I do stand for the rights of young people to have a seat on the table, and I feel myself that I have an accumulated youth in a way. So I'm very pleased to be here. I would like to, of course, acknowledge President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Welcome the Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, Jahadma Wikramanayake. That's a very challenging last name, but she's such a champion to all of us, and excellencies, distinguished panelists and guests, youth representatives, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to chair this session of the high-level event on Youth 2030. Let me start by commending the work of the envoy. Through her work, The voices of young people are getting through the walls of the United Nations out and loud in the areas of participation, advocacy, partnerships, and harmonization. I am also pleased to note that Jahatma represents a strong voice for youth within the walls of the United Nations and also in the field. This may not yet be the proverbial seat at the table, but it is definitely an opportunity to be heard. Colleagues, the General Assembly, in its landmark resolution 70/1, entitled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, for the first time recognized youth as agents of change. At the same time, and given that Sustainable Development Goals are integrated, indivisible, and global in nature, the implication is that youth are central to the advancement of sustainable development. Their participation is thus paramount to success. I commend the General Assembly for recognizing this. In my previous life as Minister of Heritage of Ecuador, I was part of an extensive engagement with the youth of the country, and this experience has allowed me to see firsthand the promise that young people offer. Whether addressing healthcare solutions or education or economic opportunities, youth are amongst our best educated, most innovative, and most creative resource. Theirs is a generation willing to take risks and employ innovation. Put simply, we have here an untapped resource that can help us fuel progress towards complying with the 2030 Agenda. Excellencies and dear friends, during my acceptance speech as President-elect and upon taking the oath of office, I outlined my vision for the 73rd session of the General Assembly. I am proud to note that youth are explicitly linked to 2 of my 7 goals and that their impact is felt throughout the remaining 5. On my priority goal, youth, peace, and security, my hope is that we can recognize youth for what they are, stakeholders and assets to the peace process. For too long, we have relegated certain groups, youth included, to the category of victims of conflict without acknowledging their potential or empowering their contributions. The historic Security Council Resolution 2250, adopted in 2015, recognized the positive contribution of youth in efforts for maintenance and promotion of peace and security. My office will thus work to promote investments in young people and their inclusion in governance and decision-making, while strengthening the dialogue with young people on their participation in conflict prevention and peace building. The second priority, decent work, is built on 2 points. First, that there are over 71 million unemployed young people and 156 million working youth are in poverty, including extreme poverty. This is simply unacceptable and counterproductive. More must be done to ensure that everyone benefits from economic opportunities. That way, we achieve inclusive, sustainable growth, a necessary precondition for peaceful, stable, and thriving societies. The second point relates to the fact that the world is changing and employment itself is in a state of flux as digitization and new technologies emerge near daily. This has direct implications of the world's youth. For some, this may mean that jobs are becoming automated, necessitating new skills to allow them to adapt. For yet others, there is a fear that they will miss out entirely on this fourth industrial revolution. We cannot let this happen. My intention, working with ILO and ECOSOC, it is to jointly host an interactive forum next spring that brings together youth advocates, civil society, labor and business and technology leaders to help bridge this gap. I plan to champion a process involving youth representatives, civil society groups, and the Youth Envoy that ensures that the voices of youth are fully heard through the work of the General Assembly. As a case in point, the upcoming Global Compact on Migration will undoubtedly need to address the impact of migration on youth. We cannot do without active youth participation. Excellencies and friends, I conclude by recognizing the commitment that member states of the United Nations have shown in recent years to the issues of youth and youth participation. I need hardly stress that without the support of member states, none of the aspirations for putting youth at the center of our work here would bear fruit. I would like to conclude, therefore, by urging you, all member states, youth representatives and civil society, to engage each other in a respectful and positive manner to deepen trust and understanding and advance our common agenda to leave no one behind. On my part, I commit to working with you to forge a path forward. Thank you very much. Now I will have the privilege to give the floor to our distinguished speakers. Our first speaker today is His Excellency Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana. Excellency, I am honored to have you with us today. Under your leadership, your government has launched an unprecedented education reform to guarantee accessible, equitable, quality, and life-changing education for all young people. You have the floor, sir.
President of the General Assembly, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Excellencies, fellow panelists, young people. For a country that has 60% of its population under the age of 25, and whose president is co-chair of the group of advocates of eminent persons for the implementation of the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, lending Ghana's voice in support of the United Nations Youth Strategy is easy. This event has added significance for us in Ghana because our departed illustrious compatriot, the former UN Secretary General, Kofi Annan, was a passionate advocate of youth development. He rejected the characterization of the youth as, quote, a disinterested insular group, unquote, but observed rather that, quote, young people with their dynamism, their energy, and their inherent understanding of our interconnected world have much to teach us, unquote. As President of Ghana, I subscribe fully to these views. I want to help ensure that our energetic, restless young population who demand the best in the world get the best. They're not in a mood to wait for the dividends from a slow progression, as the hazardous trek across the Sahara vividly illustrates. We believe the most effective way to create a society of opportunities for the youth, empower them to confront the challenges of this globally competitive world, and at the same time realize the 17 UN SDGs, is to guarantee access to education for all our young people. That is exactly what we're doing in Ghana through our policy of free senior high school education. Beginning September last year, we removed one of the biggest obstacles that stood in their way, cost. The free SHS policy ensured that in September 2017, the first year of its implementation, 90,000 more Ghanaian youth gained access to senior high school than in 2016. This year, the number has doubled, with 180,000 more young men and women entering senior high school. The policy is here to stay. We're also investing in our institutions of learning, which are the providers of skills and education to our young people. No nation, we all know, can afford to marginalize the youth, the very group that makes up the chunk of its labor force. Education, in our view, is the key. All over the world, access to education is helping in the growth of democracy and political stability. It is allowing citizens, particularly young ones, learn about their rights and responsibilities and helping them acquire the requisite skills and knowledge to exercise them. If we are to ensure that the UN Youth Strategy succeeds, then together let us guarantee the youth of our respective countries, irrespective of the circumstances of their birth, unfettered access to education. Ghana will continue to remain an active and dedicated partner to the United Nations in the implementation of this strategy. Through the UN Youth Strategy, we have essentially made a pact with both present and future generations to leave them a better legacy than we inherited from our forebears. Let our generation be the measure of history. I thank you, Madam President, for your attention.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I think it is excellent to hear that Ghana will be one of the fast-track countries in the rollout of the UN strategy on youth. It's really very encouraging, and I really hope that many more countries will follow Ghana's enlightening example, Mr. President. I am now turning to Mr. Brad Smith, if you allow, President of the Microsoft, who will need to leave momentarily for another engagement. And I appreciate the other speakers' willingness to accommodate Mr. Smith to speak before they do. Mr. Smith will be sharing some very exciting announcements with us this morning. Mr. Smith, the floor is yours, and it's not morning, it's afternoon. So you have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Yeah, I commit, and we at Microsoft commit to sustainable development for the young people who comprise Generation Unlimited. We'll be partnering with UNICEF to tackle a critical issue that is facing 75 million children and young people, having their learning disrupted. Many of these young people have migrated across borders. Some have been forcibly displaced, but almost all of them have lost their opportunity to learn. That's why Microsoft commits today to mobilize our technology, our products, our solutions, and our voice to co-create with UNICEF a new learning platform. A new learning platform so that all children and young people, including young women and girls, can learn no matter where they are. We're focused on quality education, including digital skills, and we're focused on humanitarian action to aim to make the world safer for uprooted children. To further our mission, we're also partnering with UNHCR to provide digital skills and literacy to uprooted refugees. We're partnering with the ILO to address the changing future of work, to provide new skills and ready for the workplace young people so that they can secure a decent job for the future. As we reflect on everything that has been said here this morning and this afternoon, one thing is clear. The world has changed. These problems are not small, but the opportunities are huge. The young people of this new generation deserve their opportunity to thrive. That will require new partners, and it will require new types of partnerships. At Microsoft, we're pleased to do our part. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Smith, for your remarks. And I understand that you will have to leave and to join another equally important meeting. So thank you very much for your presence here this afternoon. And now it is my honor to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, President of Kenya. Mr. Kenyatta is a champion of the Generation Unlimited Partnership. So, Excellency, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The young people assembled here today whose agenda we're launching, my brother Nana, President of Ghana, ladies and gentlemen, I think I want to begin by saying that all of us were once young. All of us. And today, as we launch the young people's agenda, I think it is important for us to recall our dreams, dreams for ourselves, dreams for our communities, our countries, and indeed the world. And in so doing, join in spirit with the young people who are here today, with their hopes, with their dreams, and with their ambitions. And we should do this with a very clear understanding that progress for the youth is actually progress for all humanity. We do not champion the cause of youth, opportunity, and hope as a favor, but rather as a necessary, undeniable embrace of our collective future. And indeed today, I applaud UNICEF under the leadership of our friend, Madame Faure, in defining a very ambitious agenda that is equal to the urgency of this moment. We must give our young people education, employment, as well as leadership opportunities if our societies are to live up to their full promise. Today in Kenya, we have given access to free primary education, free day secondary education. But we also recognize that education without opportunity cannot in itself be a solution. We must match education with arming our young people with the necessary skills and skills to match today's opportunities. And in this, we must also ensure that no one is left behind as we close the gender gap, with the realization that inclusion means greater prosperity for all. Kenya has also dedicated resources for youth empowerment in a very ambitious way. We have a policy as government that targets 30% of all government procurement to be awarded to youth, women, and persons living with disabilities. We have enabled access to concessional loans, technical and vocational skills, training for youth, volunteer programs, internships, as well as apprenticeship programs. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to all the youth present, I believe that this partnership is our clear testament of our desire to walk with you and to allow you the opportunity to propel our countries to security and ultimately prosperity. On your part, embrace your chance to lead by seizing opportunity and turning it into tangible achievements. You must stand up and offer yourselves, dedicate yourselves, shoulder responsibility, and carry our world into the future. And don't forget, as you do so, don't forget to pay it forward. I look forward to working closely with all of you and championing the youth agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your remarks. And I am now turning to the representative of the European Union, Madame Lotte Knudsen. The EU, as we know, will be very soon launching its own youth strategy as a result of series of consultations which also benefited from your personal interactions with the young people in Europe. So you are welcome, Madam, to take the floor.
Thank you. And on behalf of High Representative, Vice President, Mrs. Federica Mogherini, I'd like to thank first and foremost Henrietta Fore from UNICEF and the Youth Envoy, Mahatma Vakramanyaka, for their very strong personal commitment to put youth at the center of the agenda. I see I've only just started. Federica, great. Would you like to start? That's all right. That's teamwork, right?
That's teamwork. Perfect women teamwork. I really apologize, but you know how it is.
Very timely.
And first of all, thank you so much for the initiative and for the invitation. I was honored to join also the board this morning. I had the opportunity to express already there, but I want to do it here, the true honor that is for us and for me personally to be part of the Global Board of Generation Unlimited. And I would like also to thank you for the great cooperation we have with UNICEF in recent months, but always. And I think we have really shown that effective multilateralism works and partnership works. The difference we've made for the children of Syrian education or Rohingya children is really something that proves that we're on the right track. The General Assembly week is normally focused on conflicts, on crisis. I think what we're doing here today is probably more important than even the work we're doing on crisis and conflicts. Because investing in the younger generations is, for me, not just an investment in the future, it's an investment on today, on this world. It's not, whenever they tell you your future leaders, no, you're the leaders of today. And we need you to say not only the problems, but also the solutions. I am convinced that the power you have in your hands is that of indicating to the rest of the world, including the leaderships, those in power, those that have institutional responsibilities, what is needed to solve the problems you are facing. Because with almost 2 billion people between 10 and 24, you hold the keys for the success. If the young people succeed, all the rest of the world is going to be okay. And there is no other way to change the world for better. So again, it's not only for an investment for tomorrow, it's an investment for today. And I see Generation Unlimited as an alliance for our time, not for the future. Not only for the future, also for our time. I'm also grateful to the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, for the new UN Youth Strategy and for resetting the UN focus on youth, using his own words. We, on our side, we have put work with young people and not for young people at the center of all our foreign policy activities, we have set up new channels for engaging with young people across the world in different continents. I personally do meetings with youth organizations and young activists all over the world to listen and to make sure that their ideas are incorporated in our policy making. In particular, I would like to mention one thing before closing. We've put that at the center of our new initiative with Africa. In particular, focusing on job creation for young people in the most fragile areas in Africa. We have announced just a few days ago a new project to have 100,000 African students benefiting from our Erasmus program in the next 10 years. And we believe that this would lay the foundations for a big generational partnership between Europe and Africa. And also we are planning to give vocational training to 750,000 young Africans by 2020. I think these are things that can make the difference. It's a starting point. It's a drop on the ocean, considering the numbers in the world population. But count on us for continuing on that way. And thank you very much. And again, apologies for being a bit late. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Mogherini. It's really a privilege to have you here among us. As you know, Ms. Mogherini is the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. Thank you very much for such great news. We have also here among us a very important partner, a non-government partner whose main mandate is to cultivate learning and leadership of youth in Saudi Arabia and globally. So Mr. Sultan Al-Mulsalam is a Global Partnerships Manager and Young Representative from the MISC Foundation. He will be speaking on behalf of His Excellency, Mr. Badr Al-Saker, Chairman of the MISC Initiative Center, Mr. Al-Musalam, the floor now is yours to speak about your support to the implementation of the UN strategy on youth. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great day with great vibes. It's all about youth, and that's what matters. Young leaders, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, I am here before you today as a representative of the MISC Foundation, and also proudly so for the next few minutes as a representative of young people inside this building and outside of it. Today, to answer the question of why we invest in youth, I want to flip this question on its head and ask, what will the future look like if we do not invest in youth? What will happen if we don't invest in education? How many millions of young people will miss out on the potential of e-learning, for example? How much human potential will waste away if youth's creativity is constrained, or if education systems map to the last industrial revolution, not the fourth or the fifth? On the upside, this need not become the future, not in education and skills or any subject. And you may ask why. Because young people are optimistic and positive by nature. A survey of 15 countries published only today found that 90% of young people in a selection of developing countries are optimistic about their futures. In adversity, we, young people, are hopeful for the future. We look forward to what tomorrow holds, and this drives us to give our all today. We don't see problems. We see opportunities for change. We don't see challenges as boulders standing in our way. We see them as stepping stones towards creating a better future. This is our default setting, ladies and gentlemen. And it explains why we're one of the most, if not the most, entrepreneurial generation that humankind has ever witnessed. Young people don't see starting their own ventures as reckless or risky, but as a rite of passage towards shaping their destinies. We're a generation of risk takers. We're comfortable with being uncomfortable. We want to know the unknown. That is why we don't see learning as defined by bricks and mortar, but rather as a lifelong journey from cradle to grave. Young people know that their skill sets must adapt as technology transforms our world faster than at any time in human history. And beyond the everyday personal aspect, there is a common trait that unites this new generation and offers hope for humanity. Young people, we, again, have a near universal openness. We celebrate diversity, and we are optimistic about our ability to change the world. The core belief held by young people that our problems can only be solved together in a way that sets aside race, religion, or region is also the bedrock of the United Nations. This mission of helping young people to create a better future than the one we inherited, and doing so through partnership, is in MISC's DNA. We hold out the hand of friendship and collaboration in this mission. With that said, I will leave you again with one question to think about. What will our future look like if we do not invest in our youth? And please, let's not only answer this question, let's act upon it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sultan, for your very inspiring remarks. Unfortunately, the President of the General Assembly had to move on to her next assignment or the next event, and I'm taking over. I think I'm going to history by becoming the Secretary General and the President of the General Assembly in one day. However, I would like to now turn to a very important person, a very important partner for us at the UN, Ms. Jolie Amatya, who will be speaking on behalf of the Major Group for Children and Youth, the General Assembly mandated official, formal, and self-organized space for children and young people to contribute to and engage in the intergovernmental processes at the UN. The Major Group for Children and Youth has played an important role in shaping the UN Youth Strategy. Ms. Amartya, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Chair. Dear Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and my friends, good afternoon, and many congratulations to all on this historic day of the launch of the UN Youth Strategy. My name is Jolly Amartya, and I'm from Nepal, and I'm speaking on behalf of UNMGCY, the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. This is the General Assembly created and mandated mechanism for young people to engage in the UN with the membership of over 6,000 youth entities in over 170 countries and territories. Originally created as an outcome of Agenda 21 and enhanced with the Rio Plus 20 outcome in 2012 that made sustainable development a system-wide approach, it works collectively on advocacy, capacity building, knowledge, and action in over 100 engagement avenues at the UN. We've contributed throughout the process of the development of this strategy. As we strive to tackle the complex problems of today's increasingly interdependent, yet entrenched, unequal, and unsustainable world, the question of the moment is, why should we partner with young people? The substantive areas outlined in the strategy offer a comprehensive starting point. The success of this strategy will determine the success of the UN. It is time to invest in this success through what the UN calls financing and the means of implementation. The launch of this strategy and your presence is testament to the indispensability of this fact. The real question then is, how do we partner with youth? The powers that be seem to realize that the incredible amount of untapped potential in the young people in the world. Youth engagement is now a buzzword and everyone wants to do it. But make no mistake, the only proof of an entity's genuine commitment is gumption to create environments that enable meaningful engagement. Thankfully, demystifying meaningful is not as complicated as some may think or perpetuate. The principles and barriers of meaningful engagement have been advocated for and endorsed by many in this room, UN entities, member states, and many partners. For any engagement to be meaningful, it has to be legally mandated, self-organized, designated, well-resourced, and accountable. At the same time, some of the impediments to this include individualization, lack of resources, and regressive normative framing. We want to take this moment to emphasize our commitment, enthusiasm, eagerness to play an institutional role in the coordination, governance, and operationalization of this strategy. Having said that, we also want to mention that we're not naive. While we are celebrating this launch, there are entities present that disregard serious concerns of youth constituencies and proactively undermine meaningful engagement. As the Youth Envoy has famously said that young people need to claim their space and be unapologetic. As discussed as the ECOSOC Youth Forum, we need to actively support the formation of youth-led entities and youth-driven areas of work to begin to claim inclusive development. It is time to support and partner with youth-led organizations. They not only light fires, but they keep them alive. We stand ready to go to work together. We're all here for the same goal. It is not enough to handpick one individual, one spokesperson, or one leader for a seat at a table. It is about awakening and engaging all young people through community and supporting the mechanisms of adequate facilitation through principles and meaningful engagement. Make no mistakes, young people will carry on the work whether they're included or not. And to many, this right is a responsibility bound to their hearts. We are going to stand and we will not wait for a seat at the table. And in spite of all the difficulties that we face in our communities and avenues like this, we're already here and we're out in the world already dreaming and doing. And we invite you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jolie, for your very powerful statement and also for speaking truth to power. I remember the Deputy Secretary General once said, if we talk about leaving no one behind, but if we don't keep up with the pace, then young people are going to leave the UN behind. And I think you've sounded that alarm bell today too. With that, I thank Jolie and our panelists, and I end this segment. Thank you very much. Over to you, Cherna and Tolu.
Thank you so much to all the amazing speakers for what was, again, another incredible session and panel. We just want to make sure that if you're in this room and you have a social media somewhere, you are on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat.
You mean one that not just your mom and your dog are on?
Yes, I was told that that's
More
the
than
way
2
to-
followers.
That's like the filter. If it's just you and your mom on that, then no. But please, if you're on any of the platforms we're talking about, you should be using the hashtags Youth2030 and hashtag GenUnlimited.
You know what I find most exciting about this moment? I've always thought, and people often say, that great minds think alike. But I really believe that brilliant minds spark innovation when connected. And what Youth2030 has done is connect us all. So we are connected in this room. We are connected globally. Use that hashtag. Tell us what you're thinking. We're going to have another segment where we run through commitments that are coming in from all over the globe and from this room. So please, hashtag Youth2030 and
GenUnlimited. Let's get those hashtags trending right now. We'll be checking backstage.
That's your homework.
All right. Before we get on to the really next exciting session, and I'm particularly excited for the next session because we're not going to have a panel and a high table anymore. We're going to have all of us in this room who are going to make this happen, incredible partners, to speak up and make our commitment. We want to invite back to the stage Unlimited Lily Singh. Lily, please.
It's me again. First, I'd like to say thank you once again for having me. Not once, but twice. It's an extreme honor to not only the United Nations, but also to UNICEF for having me be a partner with them. Is a dream come true and such a meaningful part of my life. So thank you so much. Now, after hearing everyone speak, I don't know about you, but I am feeling pretty ready. I'm united with each and every one of you to help create a world where every young person is empowered, where every young person is educated, and where every young person is skilled and prepared to fulfill their full potential. Now, like I said earlier, young people make up 25% of the world's population. That's like a lot of people. That's literally billions of people. And all of them watch my YouTube videos. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Give or take a few. Don't quote me. But the point I'm making is they are the most connected generation there's ever been. We have access to borderless tools and technologies that allow us to share our voices, our knowledge, and our experiences further than ever before. And that's exactly how I found my platform, using a technology that didn't exist 13 years ago, called YouTube. And that's why my parents don't know what I do for a living. But when technology is moving and changing so fast, the world has to keep up so that all young people have access, no matter where they live or what their circumstances are. Now, getting to where I am today and achieving this level of success was not easy. But when I compare myself to the circumstances of what the majority of young people face, to be honest, I feel like I practically won the lottery. I mean, I got to receive an education, I got support, I didn't have to face obstacles such as poverty, conflict, or failed institutions. For most young people in the world, the opportunities they need are so far from reach because of problems like these. But here's the good news. There's good news. It's not all sad. There's good news. When you empower, you like that? You like that? That's good. Thank you. Thank you, UNICEF. I can always count on you. Good. You're correct for laughing. When you empower a young person, you're not just giving them a chance to change their own life. You're also giving them a chance to change the lives of so many other people. Because I've had the privilege of traveling to a lot of places, such as South Africa, Kenya, India, to name a few, and every time I speak to the youth there, I ask, what would you like to be when you grow up? And every single time, the answer is always along the lines of a doctor, a pharmacist, a nurse, or a counselor. The answer is always something that child knows their community so desperately needs. So when we give skills and education to young people, they become the leaders and beacons of light this world needs. So, if we want to solve any problem, from conflict to disease to climate change, we have to start with young people and acknowledge the huge impact they have in their communities, in their countries, and in the world. Now, as you may know, I love a good video, so I couldn't resist showing you one today. This is the story of just one young woman who did everything she could to realize her full potential, and how everything can change when just one person gives you a chance. Let's see what she has to say.
My sister, Mianda, was a dreamer. She was so smart. She studied really hard, but she always had time to play with me. Mianda wanted to be a doctor. She dreamed of going to school, but my mom and dad said she had to get married, so she couldn't go. When she found out, she was heartbroken. She became very sick, and then she went away. I miss her, and I don't understand, why did she have to get married? Why couldn't she go to school? I was a dreamer too. I wanted to start my own business. I tried to get an internship. I wanted to learn from the best. I wore my good shoes and ironed my blouse. I showed them my certificate, but they said there were no opportunities for someone like me. Why? Why were there no opportunities? Why wasn't I good enough? I knew the odds were against me, against us. Every day, millions of young people dream of a brighter future, only to watch that dream die. But I was lucky. I beat the odds. I was introduced to an organization that supports young entrepreneurs in my country. I created a successful business. I know Mianda is proud of me. For those who ask, why? Why throw money away? Why waste time on funding schools and internships? I only have one answer. Because we have ideas. Because we are engaged. And together, we can do better. So, are you ready to help? Are you ready to make real change happen by supporting Generation Unlimited and ensuring that every young person is in education, training, or employment by 2030? Or will you just sit there asking, why?
Amazing. Amazing.
Are you ready?
Amazing. You know, that video really spoke to me. The best possible outcome of a well-educated mind is a liberated imagination. And a mind that not only regurgitates knowledge, but one that sees beyond the known and builds on something bigger to make the previously improbable inevitable. And that is what Generation Unlimited is giving us. And I am so thrilled to be a part of this launch.
And that's what our generation is about, and that's what we're here to celebrate. Let's just take a moment one more time to say thanks to UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador, Lily Singh.
Superwoman!
Superwoman. Online. And if you are not following her on YouTube, now you know you are in a very limited...
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. So please get on YouTube and follow her.
Well, so we are on to our last segment. I'm so thrilled to see many amazing, beautiful faces in the room still. We're so grateful to have you here with us. Now, in this last segment, we want to hear from you. We want to know how you, as a network of diverse stakeholders are going to be working with and for young people. Now, we're going to call out some folks to share their commitments. We'll ask you to please keep your commitments, your interventions short to about 2 minutes or less, and then we will have some more exciting things for you.
Yes, and just so you know as well, we have a whole host of people following us on YouTube, speaking of YouTube, and online. They're following us all around the world. Thank you to all of you who tuned in and who've stayed with us throughout this event. And again, let's keep those tweets coming in. We're going to be reading some of these tweets. Exciting. We're going to be reading some of the commitments we're hearing from all around the world to support this incredible strategy, Youth 2030 and Generation Unlimited.
Amazing. Now, we would actually love to recognize some of the incredible people that are in the room, all of you, and thank you. We have principals of different UN agencies and leaders from different parts of the United Nations here with us today. We are honored to have you with us.
I want us to do some hoo-hoo when we call all the big names that are here. Because we have all these people here or representing different industries or different sectors to support young people. We have leaders within the UN system, as Tolu just said. So let's put our hands together for the United Nations and their support for today and for young people. And incredibly, as you have already seen, we've had heads of states and governments, princes and kings and queens, royalties, fancy, amazing leaders who have been here and who are with us still in this room. Let's put our hands together for them as well, please.
And to the many civil society leaders that are in the room, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out here. I know Anga is like a difficult time to get in, and yet you came in this morning through the long lines and you are here with us still. Thank you.
Civil society, woohoo! Woo! See, I was expecting that from my civil society folks. That's where I am from. So, you know, special favors there. And of course, we've also had, and we continue to have in this room members from the private sector and Engines for Growth, and we, you know, Generation Unlimited. It's about also giving young people opportunities in the private sector, helping us to be entrepreneurs. And we're going to rely on this incredible partnership with all of you in the private sector to make this happen. And by the way, we also hope you continue to stay with us because we understand there's another private sector event happening.
Oh, there's
next
nothing
door.
else happening in
But
the UN
this is
today.
what's happening at the UN today. So let's put our hands together for the private sector folks who are with us and for your incredible support already.
And my favorite of the moment, the young people that are in the room now. We've had other people cheering a little, but you guys are going to raise the roof up in here. So come on. Young people in the room, give yourself a round of applause.
Woohoo!
Woo!
I always like at the United Nations when they say young people, and some people are not sure if they should applaud or not. Am I young or am I not?
Oh, I'm young.
We're all young at heart. And you're here to support young people, so you're young. And thank you for your support and everything that you've continued to do. We're going to get on with the program now. We're delighted to invite the first speaker representing an agency that's actually been at the forefront of promoting young people's agenda at the United Nations. My own journey, personally too, is probably not possible without UNFPA because I was honored to be a UNFPA Youth Fellow years ago. But as we know, UNFPA has been championing a lot of initiatives, including the Youth Peace and Security Agenda, coordinating multi-stakeholder strategy for young people within the UN, and of course, on sensitive, important issues for young people on reproductive health and rights. So we're delighted to have with us, and very proud to introduce, Mr. Dereje Wodofa, who's the Deputy Executive Director of UNFPA, and who will be delivering remarks on behalf of Dr. Natalia Kanem, who regretfully had to leave for another event. Let's put our hands together for UNFPA's Mr. Wodofa, please.
Thank you for such an excellent intro. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we at UNFPA continue our work with and for young people because adolescents and young people are at the core of UNFPA's mandate. As we launch the UN Youth Strategy and the Generation Unlimited, we therefore commit on behalf of UNFPA to join hands with our partners to be bold and vocal so that every young person can realize their rights, including sexual and reproductive health and rights. I call for significant investment and scale-up of innovative programs that empower adolescents and youth to make informed choices and decisions so that they can make safe and healthy transition to adulthood, avoid unplanned pregnancies, stay in school, and pursue their dreams. I commit to accelerate efforts to build the world for young girls with zero unmet family planning needs, zero preventable maternal deaths, and zero gender-based violence. That includes zero early or child marriages and zero female genital mutilation. I commit to use our strengths in population data to accelerate investments to harness the demographic dividend to help nations to enjoy the social, economic, and political bonuses of young population. I commit to support Compact for Young People in humanitarian action and implementation of recommendation of the independent progress study on youth, peace, and security. Finally, I commit to support and enable young people as active drivers of the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. I commit all this because we have 1.8 billion reasons to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, UNFPA, and to you, Mr. Wodofa, for your commitments to indeed the world's 1.8 billion young people.
Now we're going to turn to someone from the philanthropic sector who heads an organization that is working to improve access to quality primary education in developing countries. His Excellency Tariq Al-Ghurq, CEO of Dubai Cares, we invite you to provide your remarks.
Well, first I would like to thank Henrietta and her entire team at UNESCO for having Dubai Cares as a partner for the past 11 and a half years and for selecting Dubai Cares to be a strategic partner in Generation Unlimited. Thank you, Henrietta. Dubai Cares fully endorses the Young People's Agenda and applauds UNICEF for taking a lead on this effort. Since its inception in 2007, Dubai Cares has supported programs in 57 countries. In 8 of these, we have supported secondary education and youth-focused programming for a total worth of $25 million. In support of Generation Unlimited, Dubai Cares will support promising ideas that UNICEF has identified as having transformative power in achieving the goals of the Young People's Agenda, especially for young people who live in conflict situations or are on the move around the following key opportunities: increased digital connectivity and digital literacy, increased access to remote opportunities, and increased availability of portable qualifications. In order to do so, Dubai Cares commits to invest $5 million in support of these opportunities through innovative partnerships having youth at the center. In the spirit of the multi-actor partnership that the Young People's Agenda represents, I would also like to take this opportunity to announce a new exciting effort that Dubai Cares has launched in Jordan in partnership with US-based company Pedago, Queen Rania Foundation, and generously supported by the UAE-based company Shalhoub Group, whose CEO Patrick Shalhoub is here with me today. Together, we will support the creation of pathways to secondary school certification for out-of-school Syrian refugee and Jordanian youth. This pilot will be implemented in coordination with the Ministry of Education in Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We are so grateful for your support.
And now I'm delighted to introduce somebody that barely needs an introduction in this gathering. As you've already had from Jayathma earlier on, he's been a pace setter. He was the first ever United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy on Youth. And Ahmad Al-Hendawi, who most of us we call fondly by his first name, just Ahmad, since he left the United Nations, has gone on to do arguably even better things. He's the Secretary General of the Global Scouts movement around the world, and he's been bringing the Scouts movement closer to the United Nations and championing young people's work around the world. Such a delight to have you here, Ahmad. Over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherna.
Let's put our hands together for him, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherna. Thank you, Tolo. It's a great honor to be here at the outset. I'd like to congratulate my sister Jayatma and the Secretary General's Envoy Office for great work. Having done that role, I think I know what does it mean to pull a UN youth strategy. So huge congratulations for the effort, for the leadership, and for bringing us all together. I'm very proud of this work, and we indeed align ourselves with this important strategy. Also this morning, we were very pleased to join Generation Unlimited, being part of this board and these efforts. I believe we need all to come together. Our Scouts are known for modesty, so I would say our commitment is very simple. 3 days ago, a group of Scouts were received by the UN Secretary General, and they gifted the United Nations 1 billion hours of service for peace and for the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, in fact, our commitment is not only the 1 billion, because that was delivered already. The commitment is to deliver 4 billion hours of service by 50 million Scouts around the world from now until 2030, and to deliver 2 million local projects in their communities. We believe the key investment we need to make is in young people, unleashing their potential. We believe the Scout method and the youth program delivering Scouting, which is timeless. I encourage you to think how many things have survived over 100 years in this world. The Scout program is 110 years old, and we're trying to refine it, make it better, make it more connected to more young people, and we hope that we will be able to mobilize the world's largest youth contribution to the SDGs. We believe that we can do that together, and I'm very honored to be here together with my friend Natasha, who was sharing the podium together with the Prime Minister of Denmark. I think that's a good example of how we should work together, and I can say confidently that the Scouts are coming, and I'm very proud of the work that's taking place at the UN right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ahmad. And I know when you say the Scouts are coming, from those of us who have engaged with Scouts around the world, we know that they do mean business, and we're looking forward to seeing the commitment of Scouts. I just want to take this moment to say, if you're a young person in the room and you are up in the gallery, we want to invite you to come down, and we want to feel more of your energies down here. We want to ask, if you're up there, sitting there, we have more space now down here. We'll invite you to please make your way and join us down here in the auditorium. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. I see some people making the move.
I'm really excited to see all the young people coming down. Yes. Take the fancy seats.
Exactly.
So next, the UN strategy really does recognize young people as civic and political leaders, and believes that their engagement really adds to us being able to achieve civil and human rights and make it a key priority for our world. This leads me to introduce another amazing leader. We often say that young people are not sufficiently interested in politics. However, here we have someone who came to politics at an early age and was one of the youngest parliamentarians in her country, Botswana, until recently. Currently, Her Excellency, Ms. Bogalo Kenyawadu, I practiced that, I promise you, serves as the Minister of Investment, Trade, and Industry for her country, the Republic of Botswana. She has joined us to share her commitment to ensuring young people's empowerment to participate in decision-making process that affects their lives. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. And my name is Bogolo Kenewendo.
Thank you.
Just to help you with that practice.
I appreciate it.
I was here 9 years ago as a youth delegate from Botswana, and I had the privilege of presenting to the Secretary General at the time a statement from the global youth, just sharing our plight and asking for a strategy on how the UN is going to deal with our plight. So I want to congratulate my sister Jayatma for having pulled it off after we cried for so many years, and we are starting to see some of the results of the hard work. And again, to the many youth delegates that have been part of this system and of this process. And today I return as the Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry from Botswana, and I'm very pleased to say that at the Ministry we are implementing a transformation agenda and an APEX model that has young people and SMEs at the heart of it all. And again, that's only a realization that any leader who forgets about young people is a fool, really. So we are putting our young people at the heart of our transformation agenda. And we don't even need to start our pledge here today, Jayathma, but as an individual, I want to go ahead and put forward my pledge that I will open my doors as someone has done for me 10 years ago and 9 years ago when I ended up here. And secondly, that I pledge to adopt, to inspire, and to empower a generation. And I implore many other leaders in this room to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much for your leadership and for your inspiration for other young people around, particularly the continent of Africa and around the world. Now we also want to invite to make a brief intervention a United Nations agency that's actually also been in the forefront of promoting young people's political participation. So I'm delighted to invite to the stage to speak Mr. Abdoulaye Mahdiye, who is the Assistant Secretary General for UNDP's Director of the Bureau for Policy and Program Support, to deliver remarks on behalf of the UNDP Administrator, Achim Steiner. UNDP, please.
Dear YP's young people, dear Generation U, the launch of this new and very first UN Youth Strategy marks the beginning of a new era for the United Nations. I join everyone in congratulating UN entities, the Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, and youth organizations involved for the excellent collaboration in developing it. And I commend UNICEF for this new Generation Unlimited partnership, which we highly value. The 5 priority areas of this strategy are in line with our UNDP mandate and corporate vision, and highly relevant to our comprehensive portfolio of projects and programs. As part of our youth global programs, which we call Youth GPS, which we launched in response to Agenda 2030. We have already supported 60+ countries in promoting youth civic engagement, political participation, and economic empowerment, as well as young people's role as peace builders and young people's meaningful engagement in the 2030 agenda. Focusing on priority areas 4 and 5. Let me say that UNDP strongly believes that creating safe spaces for youth and promoting their agency and effective role in governance and decision-making is a sine qua non condition if we are to achieve sustainable development and peace. We commit to convene a global network of young political actors, young local council members, parliamentarians, mayors, which would then champion sustainable development and peace. UNDP has a long track record in partnering with a broad range of institutions, including electoral management bodies, parliaments, municipalities, to ensure that young women and men meaningfully participate in public life and influence decision-making. We commit to deploy a cohort of young volunteers supporting the implementation of the 2030 Agenda with a focus on Goal 16. Our third commitment is to continue to proudly support powerful joint advocacy efforts on the positive role of youth in peace building, in the context of Security Council Resolution 2250 and 2419, including via the Youth for Peace Global Knowledge Platform. I would like to thank you all and enjoy us all to join this long journey for the triumph of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you, UNDP, for those very concrete commitments and for your work promoting young people's rights around the world.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Now, speaking of empowerment, let us turn to one of, if not the largest NGO that exists today, BROC. BROC started as an NGO in Bangladesh, but now has a presence in a large number of countries. It seeks to alleviate poverty and empower the poor, including young people. I have the pleasure to invite Sarah Fazle Hassan Abed, president of BROC, to deliver remarks and share BROC's commitment.
Present here in this room and those listening from outside, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of BRAC, I commit to working with governments to ensure adequate investments in programs to empower the next generation of global leaders. These programs must include improvements in the quality of secondary education, schooling, for the quality of teaching in today's classrooms is inadequate. They must also include more relevant and advanced vocational skills training, more effective girls' empowerment programs, and more inclusive higher learning opportunities. We have seen young people in adverse circumstances achieve remarkable results through such programs in other countries. In Uganda, girls' empowerment clubs led to a 48% rise in income generation. An apprenticeship program in Bangladesh had a similar impact. We must do more to empower those in situations of poverty, illiteracy, and social injustice, especially women and girls. I have long envisioned a world where children born in slums will become engineers, scholars, and presidents. The world sees immense challenges, but a better future beckons today's youth. The promise of technology is opening up new opportunities. Poverty rates are falling in all major regions of the world. Supported by our commitment to the UN Youth Strategy and the Generation Unlimited Partnership, I believe young people, through compassion, ethical leadership, and a view towards equity, will make that vision a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It really is incredible. Thank you so much. Now I am so excited for this next part of our program. I have the pleasure of introducing a spoken word artist, Emmy Mahmood, who is the Goodwill Ambassador for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, to come and just bless us with her awesomeness.
She's also part of Generation Unlimited because she's also an author. She's an incredible activist for young people. Thank you so much.
No, go. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I have the flu, but I'm here because we're all here. Yay. So I'm going to share the first piece that was requested. It's called Millennial. And yeah, it's from, okay. I want to be owed something for all this virtue, this righteousness, satisfaction for sacrifice. But that's not the usual way of things. So I joined a group for young Muslims. We hear the insides of our own thoughts from the mouths of one another. There is sorrow here, and in that sorrow, solace. There's joy here, and in that joy, abandon. Such arrogance it was, to have ever felt that I was the only one of anything. Thank you. Yeah, we may not have much as young people, but we have each other, and I think that's what this is all about. So the next poem is called Mama, and I'll leave you with that. I hope it inspires you as much as my mother has inspired me. So I'm walking down the street when a man stops me and says, "Hey, yo, sister, are you from the motherland? Because my skin is a shade too dark not to have come from foreign soil. Because this garment on my head screams Africa. Because my body is a beacon calling everyone to come flock to the motherland." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from Sudan, why?" He said, "Yes, you is, because you got a little bit of flavor in you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just admiring what your mama gave you." What? Let me tell you something about my mama. She can reduce a man to tattered flesh without so much as blinking. Her words fester beneath your skin, and the whole time, you won't be able to stop cradling her eyes, because my mama is a woman, flawless and formidable in the same step. Woman walks into a war zone and has warriors cowering at her feet. My mama holds all of us, in her face, in her body, in her blood, and blood is no good once you let it loose, so she always holds us close, keeping us safe from caving in. When I was 7, my mama cradled bullets in the billows of her robes. That same night, she came home and taught me how to get gunpowder out of cotton with a bar of soap. And years later, when the soldiers held her at gunpoint and asked her who she was, she said, "I am a daughter of Adam. I am a woman. Who the hell are you?" She did, she told him. And the last time we went home, we watched our village burn. Soldiers pouring blood from civilian skulls as if they too could turn water into wine. The woman who raised me turned and said, "Don't be scared. I'm your mother. I'm here. I won't let them through." My mama gave me conviction. Women like her inherit bruised wrists, tired eyes, and a titanium-plated spine. The daughters of widows wearing the wings of amputees that carry countries between their shoulder blades. Now, I'm not saying that dating is a first world problem, but these trifling mofos, mother effers, I can't say it, I'm sorry, seem to be the kind who'll quote Rumi, but not know what he sacrificed for war. Who fawn over Lupita, but turn the racial filters on. Who take their politics with a latte when I take mine with tear gas. Every guy I meet wants to be my introduction to the dark side, wants me to open up this obsidian skin and let him read every tearful page, because what survivor hasn't had her struggle made spectacle? Don't talk about the motherland unless you know that being from Africa means waking up an afterthought in this country. Don't talk about my flavor unless you know that my flavor is insurrection, it is rebellion, it is resistance. My flavor is burden, it is grit, and it is compromise. And you don't know compromise until you rebuilt your home for the 3rd time without bricks, without mortar, without any other option. I turned to the man and said, "My mother and I don't walk the streets alone back home anymore. Back home, there are no streets to walk anymore." Thank you.
Give it up for Emmy. Woo, wow. We're gonna hang out. That was amazing. Amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. And I am going to promptly, right after this, go call my mother and just tell her how incredible she is.
Are you not feeling excited already? That was inspiring, wasn't it? And I think it's really represent the true spirit of what we're going to be expecting from now going forward with young people having a voice and leadership within this institution and within the UN. We just want to call your attention now to take a moment as well to say, as we promised earlier on, that there's been a number of tweets coming through. We want to see some of the commitments that have been made. We have from Belgium,
Amazing.
8 million euro to end child marriage by 2030 in support of UNICEF and UNFPA's program.
Plan International commits to deliver on the goals of Generation Unlimited to build an economically empowered generation. I love that.
In the government of Korea, making a commitment as well. Continue to work hand in hand to promote this initiative.
And the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project believes that youth will change the course of AIDS epidemic.
SOS Children's Villages. Amazing. As I said, we have a wide spectrum of partners who are tweeting all around the world and registering their commitment to this incredible initiative.
Another commitment for Generation Unlimited by Majad Al Fatam. And if I murdered that, I am so sorry, considering I have a complicated last name. Go ahead. I think this is a shout out from UNICEF. Amazing. Oh, and IOM, close to my heart, DG Swing, who's retiring this year, making a commitment to young people as agents of change in building peace and security. We are clearly reading this as you are, so forgive us for the pauses.
This is coming in, as you can see, some of the commitments that have been made since the beginning of this program.
And JJ Omojua, that's amazing, incredible.
And we're also hearing from young people around the world as well, making commitments, individual
Awesome.
commitments.
That was just a small sample of the commitments that are coming through. Absolutely incredible. Keep them coming. Use the hashtag.
Youth 2030 and Gen Unlimited. Youth 2030 and Gen Unlimited. We're going to move on with the program now. We're delighted to introduce to speak Dr. Jamila Mahmood, who is the Under Secretary General for Partnerships for the International Federation of the Red Cross. Dr. Mahmood, the floor is yours.
First of all, congratulations to the United Nations and the Youth Envoy for this amazing initiative. The International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent is a membership organization with our societies in 190 countries, and we very much believe that youth is essential to the work that we do, and certainly among our almost 12 million volunteers, majority are youth. We have been working very hard on engaging young people and having resolutions to ensure that youth engagement strategy is part and parcel of our work, not only in governance, but also in data, in also in policy development as well as response. And together with UNFPA and other partners, we have been very much involved in championing the global strategy for youth. And whatever you're doing now on the Youth 2030 is absolutely essential in connecting the dots. SDG 17 requires us to work on partnerships, and that is the only way we're going to achieve all the goals that we want for Sustainable Development Goals. And I think you have a partner in the Federation. That's our commitment to you. You have a partner in the networks that we have. And one of the tools we have, Youth as Agents of Behavioral Change, which we are so proud has been developed by youth for youth as a peer-to-peer mechanism, and that's the only way to go. Youth lead the world, youth rock, and we're all young people in our minds. And I'm really glad WHO redefined youth to the age of 60. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those commitments and for the Federation's incredible work around the world in all settings around the world. Thank you.
Great. Now, another critical concern, as you've heard, is youth unemployment. Being able to take care of yourself is such a critically important thing, and there are so many young people that are out of school and out of work. This challenge is incredibly important and a priority for Youth 2030 and Generation Unlimited. Here to share his commitment to tackling this most pressing global challenge of youth unemployment is the Director General of the International Labor Organization, Mr. Guy Ryder.
Well, thanks very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Amongst other things, today's been a real wake-up call to all of us that we must be working with young people, not for them, as some might previously have believed. And I think in that respect, it's on that basis that we must set about the task of shaping the future that young people want and frankly have the right to expect. A little while ago, the President of the General Assembly recalled the numbers that mean if you're under 25 years of age, you are 3 times more likely to be unemployed than others, and equally that you're much more likely to be in work but still in poverty. And yet, as MCU recalled a little while ago, ask a young person what their dreams are, and more often than not, they'll reply by telling you the job they want to do in the future: a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, a diplomat. And that is why decent work for young people needs to be at the center of everything that we do. So the ILO commits to work with the UN Youth Strategy. We will be joining hands with the Youth Envoy and our sister UN agencies to implement this strategy in a way which is both meaningful and efficient. And our particular contribution can be through boosting action under Priority 3, that's economic empowerment through decent work. We can bring the ILO's experience to that task, and we can also bring the inclusive multi-stakeholder Alliance for Action, the global initiative on decent jobs for youth, which has been in place since 2016. So the global initiative will be our implementing arm. We'll be scaling up action and scaling up impact on young people in support of the strategy, in support of the 2030 agenda. We will be making our actions concrete. We'll be addressing key areas. I think of digital jobs for youth, think of people in fragile situations, we think about young people in hazardous occupations. And the last word is that the record so far has been that all of these things have been talked about a lot more than they've been acted upon. And so the challenge ahead is to match the eloquence of today with our action and our effectiveness tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And we are so grateful that the Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth will serve as an important tool for advancing the UN Youth Strategy and Generation Unlimited. We are grateful for your commitment. Thank you.
And speaking of moving from words to action, I know the next speaker has been at the forefront of trying to hold governments, the UN systems, accountable to get to act. We've heard today that the UN Youth Strategy is about bringing together cross-cutting UN themes on different issues, including youth, peace, and security. And this woman is a mentor to many young people around the world. She's been a champion on the question of youth, peace, and security. And she directs the Somalia Peace Center. And I had the honor of serving with her recently on the United Nations Secretary General's Advisory Group on Youth, Peace, and Security. And we're delighted to hear from you, especially also a young person who's doing something and who is here as well to make a commitment. Ilwad Elman, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. This has been, I think, one of the most exciting General Assemblies and an event like no other, and a lot of high energy, and I'm thrilled to be here to be able to share some thoughts from my end. But anytime you look at the news, you can find out about the bad things that are happening in your community, that are happening in the world. However, when there's bad news, there are usually people working to solve the problems and are standing up to the forces that are causing them. Often these are young people. In fact, young people have been instrumental to every social and civil rights movement in history. And they were not just engaged behind the scenes, they were leaders. We are here today having this conversation because of the spirit, the focus, and savvy of young people around the world. Because young people have maintained a clear message of what they need, we have mobilized nations and rallied support from politicians and thought leaders globally to create the youth strategy and Generation Unlimited that are being launched here today. We did this. When I reflect on the obstacles in my own personal and professional life as a young woman that ticks almost every minority box, as a Black, Muslim, refugee from a conflict-laden country, the challenges have been cultural, they've been structural, they've been gendered, and far too many that I'll spare you here today. But I think of how slim the odds were for me to be able to be here today. to serve at the leadership levels that I do, but most importantly, how my barriers are really not that unique. And that for most young people today, this remains a reality as well. Youth's meaningful participation in education, peace and security, gender equality, humanitarian action shouldn't be by luck. It shouldn't only depend on individual champions. It should be systemic, institutional, and accessible, even for those that are considered to be the hardest to reach. But the reality is that it's just not. Until now. The UN Youth Strategy is providing the roadmap for the UN's work with young people, and Generation Unlimited is operationalizing that strategy. Through my work in Somalia at the Elman Peace Center, as well as my capacity as an advisor for the 2250 Security Council resolution on youth, peace, and security, I've engaged with young peace builders all around the world that are taking the risks, innovating, and leading entire communities to be peaceful. The UN Youth Strategy, which includes as one of its 5 priority areas a dedicated focus on supporting young people as catalysts for peace and security and humanitarian action, is incredibly important for people like myself, and the opportunity that exists now with Generation Unlimited is linking that to the priority areas of education, skills development, and empowerment, including fostering partnerships and resource allocations that help young peace builders scale their solutions for peace and security. By inviting young people like myself that are living in extremely difficult contexts to serve at the highest decision-making level of Generation Unlimited as a global member of its board, it's a testament to how UNICEF, under the leadership of Madame Faure, and the initiative in a whole, is trying to do business differently. And this is welcomed by myself and by youth globally. And I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity. For every young person here, and for everyone watching online, the message I want to send to you is that this agenda really is for us. And as a first of many exciting things that are to come with Generation Unlimited, I have the extreme honor to announce that Generation Unlimited Youth Challenge is now open and that we are bringing it to 16 countries. For the first round, the participating countries are Brazil, Hungary, Jordan, Kenya, Kosovo, Lebanon, Macedonia, Montenegro, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Sudan, Tajikistan, Tanzania, Thailand, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe. And what's happening in these areas is that the most promising solutions in each of these countries will receive seed funding and mentorship, and with the top 5 solutions receiving further investments, tailored support from Generation Unlimited partners. So this is actually matching the resources to this rhetoric that we've been hearing for years and years and years, that youth can lead, youth can be solvers. So I'm very happy to hear of all of the commitments that were made today by the partners and supporters of this initiative, and I want to echo that as well by making my own commitment. It is part of my life's purpose to advocate for spaces and places that allow authentic youth engagement. And as a global board member for Generation Unlimited, I commit to every young person that I will do everything in my power to advance and sustain this movement that we have launched here together today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for showing that there is no age of entry to living every day with purpose. Those closest to the pain should be closest to the power. We are so honored to know that you are there with Generation Unlimited, making sure the voices of youth are heard.
And we could go on and on with the commitments, but unfortunately, we're going to have to bring down the curtain soon. But before we go, I promise you, save the best for last. The next speaker needs really no introduction. She's been a pioneer of young people around the world. Her work is already broken barriers, open doors. She's a pace setter for young people. She's the founder of the Elders. She's Nelson Mandela's widow. She's an incredible woman, a champion for young people, an inspiration for all of us around the world. And it is an incredible honor for me personally to introduce her and for all of us to hear the incredible Gracia Machel speak.
I gotta get a woohoo in here. Woo!
Woo!
Thank you so very much for this kind introduction, and I'm sorry I'm going to disappoint you because I don't think I'm that. I have spent most of my life working for education with young people. I have learned many lessons, but it's with some great pain that I realized that at the age while I'm already a grandmother, challenges of access to education by young people, particularly girls, remain almost the same as when I was a young girl. With my work, I have been trying to identify clearly what are the reasons which keep children out of school, particularly girls. And we took the time to undertake a thorough investigation touching family by family, children by children, to know exactly the circumstances which keep these children out. So I'm pledging here that I'll continue to expand the work which we have started to bring the millions of children who are outside the system to be in. While they are within the mainstream of the system, our approach is to work hard to keep girls to complete at least primary education. But more importantly is to increase the transition from primary to secondary, and while they're in secondary, then to develop life skills which can allow them to take control of their lives. We've been working tirelessly with networks which are fighting against child marriage. We have been promoting programs which are aimed at providing young people, especially girls, with the knowledge and skills to take control of their bodies, to make choices about their bodies, to make choices about their life. And this, I want to say, I commit to scale up this kind of initiatives which we have been already doing. Just to give you a sense of why this is so important, in Africa today, out of 75% of girls starting school in my continent, only a mere 8% finish, just to see the magnitude of the challenge we face. Equally scary, 39% of young African girls are married before the age of 18, and of course, severely limiting their educational and professional opportunities. This is not only unacceptable, but is an affront to our consciousness. That is the reason why education, particularly of girls, keeping them in schools, at least they completed the secondary education, then they are able to make decisions about their own life and also about their professional future. I see in Generation Unlimited a huge opportunity working with young people to identify what works, to identify evidence-based and costed solutions. And I see an opportunity also for multiplying the kind of partnerships for us to give real opportunities to young people. I also recently helped to launch an African Youth Networks movement. It's based in networks. We convened and we hosted young leaders from 36 countries on the continent to engage them in a way they are going to define clearly their agenda so that they can engage effectively with public and private institutions. On my continent, my young people continue to feel that no one listens to them. And we decided to say, okay, if you want to be listened, one, be organized. Second, make impact because you are many. If you are isolated, you are fragmented, no one is going to take you seriously. So youth movements for us are extremely important because they make the numbers, they allow strategizing together and define exactly what are the priorities of young people, and to make their voice much more impactful when they engage public and private institutions. I commit to continue to support and where it's necessary, help even to establish youth movements, because I believe this is the way they can articulate their own agendas and to define what they want in life. I am an elder, and I want to tell young people that we elders, we offer whatever is of the wisdom which experience have allowed us to accumulate. We would like to share with you knowledge and experience, and we'll be here to advocate at highest levels possible so that you can build the solid foundations for you to flourish. We are here to create an enabling environment for you to realize your fullest potential and make meaningful contribution as engaged, productive citizens of this world, for you to build the future of humankind. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those incredible words. My favorite African proverb says, until the lion learns to write, all the stories will glorify the hunter. Thank you for teaching so many of us lions to write.
And Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the final act for today's event is by an incredible woman.
Yes.
When we asked her yesterday to tell us about what she wanted us to say about her when we were introducing her, she told us some of the things that she does. And then she said, one of the things that struck me was she's like, oh yeah, and by the way, I beat cancer.
By the way.
And I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Who knows when?
She just moved on. This is the embodiment of unlimited. She's an incredible woman, a singer, a songwriter who's prepared a special song for us today. And she's going to perform that song. She's from VH1 Signed, and she's the incredible M. Rose. M. Rose, please. Let's put our hands
Hello,
together,
everyone.
please.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to sing a song for you guys I wrote recently just for this event, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. You are wonderful in every single kind of way. You are wonderful, no matter what people say. Don't let no one just dim your light. Take dreams on with pride. You are wonderful, no matter what they say. You have to follow your dreams. Just go and spread your wings. 'Cause when you feel like giving up and think the road's getting too rough, just remember you are wonderful in every single kind of way. You are wonderful, no matter what people say. Don't let no one just dim your light. Take dreams on with pride. You are wonderful, no matter what they say. Thank you.
Thank you. Woohoo!
M. Rose, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was the perfect closing for an incredible, incredible day.
And I want to say thank you to all of you, especially those of you who stuck it out until the end. We know there are so many competing events happening around, But your commitments to young people and to this event and to this strategy and to this partnership are what are going to make the big difference for young people around the world. It's an exciting time to be a young person. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time to be at the United Nations. And you all today have made this program what it is. So we want to thank you sincerely for that.
Thank you. And before we leave, can we please have a huge round of applause for all the people behind the scenes that made this happen?
Absolutely.
The Envoy on Youth and her amazing
And her
staff.
amazing team.
UNICEF, ED4, and her
UNICEF.
incredible staff, DPI, and everybody else that showed all of our speakers, our performers. Thank you, thank you, thank you all
And
so much.
ED4 for staying with us until the end, and Jayatma, all of you, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. And let's keep tweeting, hashtag Youth 2030 and Gen Unlimited. Thank you so much, everyone. Brother.